Now, I know we're slightly over time, but I think we probably have time for a 10-minute panel discussion. And I know when I came in, actually, you know, first thing, because I'll get slapped on the wrist if I don't repeat this, the hashtag Change Academy 2016 at Road to Marriage, okay? So I've gone back to when I had my Sergeant Major hat on when I joined the campaign. And I know when I came in, one of my priorities was to come up with those unexpected voices. Now, Ursula, you were definitely, as we said, one of those unexpected voices, but did you expect the kind of reaction that you got?
No, really, I didn't. I'm still amazed at it. I mean, I have bags of letters, and I got so many emails. And the thing that amazed me was people were saying that my story was their story. They were saying it was exactly their story. And I was amazed at that, because I always thought my story was my story, and it was just my story. And even though over the years you might say, well, what planet were you on, Ursula? Weren't there other gay people around? I had heard some people on television and radio, but sometimes they would just say, I'm gay. But they wouldn't explain how that happened, or they didn't go into it. And a lot of them made light of it, actually. And I thought, well, it was difficult for me. And the people who wrote to me after my piece was published, they were saying the same thing. They were saying, they would have gone through life in their little prisons. They really would have. And I think maybe I might have too, if it hadn't been for the referendum. Because the referendum sort of put the gun to my head. It concentrated. It was a concentrated moment. And then I was watching the debates, and I was watching the campaigners, and I was watching people like Grania and Brian, and I was thinking, God, how can I let them do all the work? They need help. And that's really what motivated me. I thought, this is the moment. If there's one good thing I could do in life, it would be to tell the truth. Because I could have gone through life just inside. And, I think I got away with it okay, maybe. But I could have gone through it. And I thought, no, I'll do this. And doing it was difficult for me, because I had a number of hurdles to get over. But anyway, you know all those hurdles. The point is that I was attracted to the campaign by the methods that you used, by the positive message, by just the humanity of it all. And it was, I would have felt worse. I would have felt so bad if I'd gone through that campaign and said nothing. So that's why I did it. But when it started, no, I didn't have a definite plan to do it. I was interested, I was watching. I was hoping it would get through. I thought, they don't need me.
It was incredible how it resonated.
Yes, it was. And then I thought, in myself, I woke up a bit, and I thought, my God, so many people are saying this is their story. And, isn't it amazing that we got to this point in our life, after millennia of a whole section of humanity silenced, But I know there's some great people who were so brave and came out, and Panty Bliss and people, so many other people are so brave. But there's a whole section of people who didn't, who couldn't because of their upbringing. And so to me, I still go, wow, how could this have happened? All these people, think of in previous generations, the pain for, people who were gay, going down in the past. How did they get through it? So this is really an historic moment, and what you've done, anyone who worked on those campaigns.
And Tanya, I mean, Ursula's story, those unexpected voices, how important are they to these campaigns?
Oh, absolutely essential, because what you did was an act of courage to share your story. And these campaigns are filled with moments of courage on the doorstep and in less public ways. But, thousands of people being courageous. But in the end, I think what we've learned through all the research is that it's easier to vote against someone that you don't quite know. And by being a known figure, by being a familiar face that had been in the living room, with the family, night after night after night. You became that bridge that allowed people who were just still a little bit uncomfortable to reach out to you. But that happens on the person-to-person conversation at the doorstep. It happens through videos like Patty and Bridget. I mean, it happens at so many different levels of the campaign. And I think our learning has been now all around the world that it's these personal moments and these courageous stories that really break through that other conversation that people have about what the way things should be or where the way I grew up or so on. And it makes it hard to hold onto those kind of ideas.
And I think, again, one of the common themes running through what everybody's saying is that everybody was looking, again, to yes, equality in terms of direction and tone. I know was a big thing. And Finian, this is something you spoke about, and perhaps Craig, you'll talk about it as well, how important it was for both of you to be talking to one another and to be mirroring, in effect, each other's campaigns.
Yeah, I think the Wednesday nights we used to get around in a circle, and apart from the fact that we were all staying on message and learning from each other what we were doing, it was also hugely energizing because everyone was drained that afternoon, and you'd walk in and you'd hear the stories, you'd hear the numbers, and then you were able to say, okay, we'll hold back, as kind of Donald mentioned as well, we'll hold back on that video until next week and we'll go out with this, and the rumors of what celebrities and personalities had said what, and okay, we'll hold that back for next week because we know they're doing this. I've sat in many a boardroom with some of the biggest media budgets and advertising executives, and never before have I worked with a group that have been so proactive and collaborative and open and honest and challenging and getting it across the line. There was assertive decision making, and it's a credit to the Yes Equality team.
And Craig, how important was it for you? I mean, you were the one effectively steering the social media campaign from HQ.
Yeah, I suppose like from the outset, I was like wondering how it was going to play out. You know, like as I said, when the only experience I had prior to that was around the time of the Constitutional Convention, and I was like, oh God, you know, because we wanted to try and just kind of create that positive message. And it was just so interesting to kind of to see it unfold. And the community became very aware of kind of what was appropriate or what wasn't appropriate, and they would almost like they would kind of interject themselves and correct themselves. Like people would reply on Twitter and like, okay, maybe don't say this, say this instead, you know. And it was amazing to kind of to see that, and then like just having the support of groups like Straight Up Equality, Vote With Us, and all that, and just so everyone was singing off the same hymn sheet. So people were just able to kind of pick up that message and roll with it themselves as well. So it was hugely beneficial, that kind of the cross relationship that all of the groups had.
And I know from my point of view, what I found interesting with the likes of the memes, that when they went up, these were people who, again, we had sat down and we had written out a list of all the people we could think of who could be our unexpected voices, who could come on board and lend their support whenever we could. And some of them were willing to write op-eds for very traditional media, but others weren't, but they were willing to put their face on a meme.
Yeah. And sometimes it was, like there was a lot of that we had planned it and we'd approached and created them that way. But then a lot of the time we were reacting as well. I remember with Daniel O'Donnell, for instance, we were sitting in the office and Yvonne, who was tasked with listening to every radio debate going, she was listening in and Daniel O'Donnell was on, and we didn't even know he was going to be asked, and he was asked the question and he said, oh yes, of course I am. And like, you know, everything was dropped. And Alan was there, Alan worked on the graphics and quickly got the quote out and just threw it out. And so it was just that quick reactive, and I think it was just that we were out with it so quick, and it was so unexpected that it just kind of flew.
The fun thing about that as well, the publicists and the agents around town were probably thinking, quick, we got to get in on this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. True. And Donald, finally, can I just ask you, you contrasted the local elections, the marriage equality and the general. And I know there's been a lot of talk about it, but why did it work for this campaign? Why did social work for this campaign and not for the political campaigns?
I think it would be very difficult to imagine a situation where you have Bridget and Paddy passionately talking about why they vote for any political party, or talking about the local issues in the same way. It's a different kind of question, and I think for social issue referenda, I'm echoing in a weird way, sorry. For social issues, we're going to see that personal stories are much more important and much more central. Social media suits them very well, and video is a particularly good medium for them as well. So there's, as I said, it's important, I think, if you're designing these campaigns in the future, to think about those, what we call affordances of different channels, that different kinds of social media do different jobs better or worse than others, and I think you can find things that will fit any campaign, but especially where it's an emotive social issue, having real people talk to you in a very honest way is so important, and that's what, you know, most of these campaigns were about, really, at their heart.
Okay, well look, I think this is a very informative hour and a half, and I think in particular how it starts with the research, develop your message, and then you find the right channel for it and talk to one another, then whoever is campaigning with you, to develop both your message and your messenger. So thank you very much to our panel, and thank you very much for sticking with us.